welcome to our YouTube channel, and welcome back to the East Coast Keto Test Kitchen. I'm Bobbi.
I'm Geoff.
And together, we are East Coast Keto. We have a lovely little recipe for you today. It's pretty much is going to be as familiar as that homemade apple pie, but it's going to be totally different for you. Today we're concentrating on the Chayote squash. And if you look at this guy, this looks like a pear on one side, but when you turn it around on the other, it kind of looks like somebody squished it in. So we use this as a mock apple. And stay tuned, we're gonna do a fabulous recipe. But before then, we're gonna get you to hit that subscribe button down below.
And make sure you ring that bell so that you get notified when we have a new video.
Alrighty, let's get cooking.
And this is gonna be one of them.
This is gonna be one of them. Let's get cooking.
Alright, so welcome back. We got our Chayote.
Or
is it Chayote or Chayote?
Chayote. I'm gonna say Chayote.
Okay, because it sounds fancy.
You say Chayote, I say Chayote.
Alright, so it looks a lot like a cross between an apple and a pear. And they're...
Careful with the knife.
There's a great big seed on the inside.
Hold it up so you can
now
see it.
when you're peeling these, if you have them handy or if your skin is sensitive at all, the skin of this squash is known to be a little sensitive or cause irritation on people's skin.
It's also really sticky.
Yeah.
So you can either wear some food grade gloves, or you can wash your hands carefully if you get cuts or anything especially. Now it's worth noting, excuse me while I reach across here, that the seed in the chayote is supposed to be really good sauteed as well. So you can reserve those and fry them up. We haven't tried them yet.
Not yet.
Maybe we will today.
Let's show a little bit of this.
So tell us what you're doing there, Mr. Pike.
Basically taking the peel off. So just using a standard vegetable peeler. And let's get the skin off these guys. And
so we're going to cut them in half. We're going to take out that seed, and we're going to get them all peeled. And why don't we come back when we get all that done, and then we can move on to the next step.
All right.
Sound good?
Sounds great.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
Ready to roll?
Ready to roll. All right. So how do you want these cut?
Well, it's totally up to yourself. I think it depends on the individual user and how thick they want them. I mean, what I'll say to you is remember your grandmother's apple pies and how thick the pieces of apple were. You don't want them, so thick that you can't bite through them, but you don't want them that thin that they're going to totally disintegrate when you put them on and boil them. So you've got a half decent slice there. That's probably what? Probably
quarter of an inch
is what I'd say too. So while you're getting that ready, I'm going to start putting the extra ingredients in. So we have a cup of water. And with this, I'm going to keep adding some extra water. As it boils down, you're going to need to add extra water to it. So this is just a cup to get it started. I have a quarter cup of apple cider vinegar, and you want to make sure you don't put in too much of that, because if you do, you can turn it into a gastrique, which is a sweet and sour sauce. If you want to go that way, that's fine, but it will put a little bit of an acidic taste on it. But if you just put in a quarter cup, what it's going to do is it's going to enhance and boost those flavors. So that's our quarter cup of that. I also have a quarter cup of confectioner's swerve. Now you can substitute this for...
This was regular swerve.
Yeah, it was regular swerve. We put it through the blender and whizzed it up and turned it into a confectioner's. And you can use any keto-friendly sweetener for this, and just judge to taste. So a quarter cup of confectioner's swerve. I have a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon. I have 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/8 teaspoon of allspice.
Allspice.
And last but not least, the last thing I'm going to put in there is just a little tiny bit of pink Himalayan salt. And I know we're doing a sweet recipe, but in circumstances like this, the same as the apple cider vinegar, the salt helps to boost the flavor. So we will continue to cut until they're all done, and then we're going to go over to the stove and we're going to start cooking. Stay tuned.
Turn it down to around a medium.
We've got all the ingredients in the pot, and now we are just going to continue to cook until they stew down and reduce. Again, you are going to have to add some extra water as the cooking process continues.
But the amount of apple cider vinegar that's in there should be good.
Should be good. You may have to add the sweetener and add some extra water to taste. And for now, we're just going to let that cook. We'll be back in a minute.
Probably about half an hour to cook down. 20 minutes.
It depends on how thick you've cut the mock apple slices. So we're going to let it cook, and we will be back. The chayote squash is boiling down nicely. The pieces are still firm, but they're starting to soften up. And we'll let them go for another few minutes, and then we'll take them out and do a taste test and see if we need to add anything in regard to a bit of extra sweetener or how it suits our taste.
And maybe thicken it up a bit.
We will definitely thicken it up a bit. We'll be back. Okay, let's check and see how our chayote is doing. As you can see, it's still bubbling away here, and the pieces are starting to get soft, but let's check and see what the consistency is like. Let me pull a piece out now and see if I can do this without
burning the lips off you.
Burning the fingers off myself. All right, let's give it a shot. Okay, so I'm getting that apple taste, I'm getting the cinnamon, I'm getting the sweet. The sweetness is perfect, but it's still a little bit crunchy. So I'm gonna let that boil for another few minutes. And in the meantime, I'm still gonna enjoy my piece of chayote because it still tastes good. We'll be back. So our apple or chayote has reached the desired consistency. And to answer the question about how long is this going to take, well, it really depends on how soft you want it. We like ours, you know, soft with just a little tiny bit of bite. You'd almost call it an al dente. So the flavors are all there. We have enough sweetness. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our xanthan gum. Now with this, you're going to be really careful because it's one of those ingredients that can sneak up on you. We take it and we put it in a shaker. And this is just a shaker that we had in our cupboard before keto. That, well, the original isn't a keto product, but we've thrown all that away and we filled it up with our xanthan gum. So we're just going to put in a little bit at a time, and we're going to stir, and we're going to keep doing that. Let me switch over to our whisk because that's going to take. And the thing with this product is this, as it cools, it's going to thicken more. So you really want to put in a little bit and give it a stir and kind of stand back and see how it's doing, if it's thickening up to the amount that you want. I'm used to using the ingredients, so I'm just going to put a little bit more in and stir again. And it's really just getting used to how much to put in and how much not. It's similar to cornstarch in regard to how much it thickens.
Except it's not cornstarch.
Except it's not cornstarch, because obviously cornstarch is not keto. But, you know, it's one of those things that a little dab will do you. So I'm just going to put another little bit in now to give it a little bit more thickness. And from here, you can take it and you can do a whole bunch of things. You can make all kinds of desserts. You can pour this over ice cream or whipping cream. If you want, you can make a keto-friendly pie crust and make yourself an apple pie. There's so many different applications you can use for this. But if you want to come in closer and see what I've got here, you can see, I mean, that is apple pie filling. And I wish you had taste-o-vision because that tastes just like apple pie. So there we are. There is our finished product. And we hope you enjoy it as much as we do. I know apple, I mean, you know, as home as apple pie, and just because we're keto doesn't mean that we can't still have our apple pie. I know apples are high in sugars, but the chayote or chayote squash does just as good a job. So here we are, we're ready to go. We're gonna put that aside and we're gonna use that in all kinds of yummy recipes. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you soon for another recipe. Bye.